That was the trip to Davos. I think as I said, dun sa Philippine community na meeting, I think most, if not all, that we wanted to do for the conference, nagawa naman natin at nadagdagan pa. And so we, again, this is a process. We have to introduce them to the Philippines again. We have to ask them to come to the Philippines, send the team to make assessments on the business side, etc. The delegation was large, but half of it was private. So the delegation essentially just consists of the cabinet secretaries, myself, the speaker, and of course the staff that support them. Yeah, we try to be complete. When is the next chance we will get to speak to CEOs of top Fortune 100 companies in the period of 2 days? So, whoever we get to talk to, kailangan nandun yung secretary na pwede niyang sagutin, pwede niyang kausapin.
Ano po yung masasabi niyo dun sa sinabi ni former and National Security Advisor Clarita Carlos that her critics wanted her out, no, from day one, and sinisiraan daw siya habang nasa pwesto siya?
Well, she felt that there were people who were moving against her in government. Ako, I kept telling her I don't really think so. And I guess she just found it too much. She didn't enjoy her time in government, which is, if we think about it, it's not really surprising. And so now she will be in a think tank, which is perfect for her. Well, just because they're criticized, they'll have to leave. How many of the cabinet, marami ng criticism, hindi naman ako ganun. I asked them to join the cabinet, I asked them to join the government because I have belief in them, I trust them, I believe in their capabilities, and I believe that they are their love of country. And so somebody criticizing them for some things, that is not enough to change my opinion.
And how do you intend to deal with the disgruntled military permanently?
I think that's exactly what we have done. We have dealt with the problem permanently. This is not what we did, and what I refer to as rationalizing the seniority within the officer corps. What we did was the solution to the problem that was the disgruntlement that was going on in the ranks. And so we asked we are always in consultation with the military. So this is the way we were told that we could fix it. So that's what we've done.
Kinukonsidera niyo po ba na isa ring retired military or police general yung ilagay sa DA para mahusay sa management at pagdidisiplina ng tao?
Hindi, kailangan eksperto sa agrikultura. Agriculture is a very complicated subject. Hindi lang kung sino-sino basta magaling mag-manager. They have to understand the science, they have to understand the evolution. They also have to understand the system. Unless they're involved in agriculture. Meron naman nag-retire dyan, they got heavily involved in agriculture, baka marunong na talaga sila. Why not?
Sinabit daw po yung recommendation sa inyo and in-approve nyo. And yung recommendation po nila, yung sa pagre-write po ng Maharlika, is an IPO.
I'm not sure what did I approve. It's a law that's in the process of legislation. I don't know what he's saying that I approve.
Sabi niyo daw po, President, ita-IPO ang Maharlika Farm.
That's one of the suggestions. That suggestion came from one of the CEOs. Although the sovereign wealth funds around the world have the same name, they're all very different. They're different in purpose, they're different in methodology, and of course, they operate in the different context of law. So we have to design it very specifically to the Philippine condition. Maybe Kong Joey is referring, so our exchange of communication before the bill was filed to see if that was the direction that we wanted to do. It depends what the purpose is of banning them or removing them. Because the problem naman in reference to POGOs, the problem are the illegal ones, not the legal ones. The legal ones pay their bills, pay their taxes. It's not a huge part of our economy. This issue came up a while back, but when it came up, it was a response to all of those killings and violence that those illegal POGOs were doing. all of these things we should be continuously examining to see if it still continues to be a good idea for the Philippines. I'd like to know what the motivation is for that, to ban them. There may be a good reason.
Well, there are propositions on the funding sources, and definitely that's a possible. That these are possible insights or options or alternatives for funding sources. In other words, there are many ways in which we can raise funding sources. But of course, when our chief economic manager, Secretary Bendio, leading the economic managers, when they presented it to us, of course, the measure, obviously, the GFIs, the GOCCs, even the BSP were sought after because there's a lot of underutilized capital that is asleep. And rather than it just being invested in triple A grade securities, that means investing into Western economies, because only the triple A. George Evas suggests that it's best that capital from African and Asian countries be best invested in development projects and infrastructure projects in their developing countries and not in Western economies that are already fully developed. We're really far behind. I think these people who say that now's not the time, huli na tayo. You see the better performing sovereign funds. They've been around for decades. And huli na naman tayo sa balita na naman. We passed it in the House. With all due respect, it's been already filed in the Senate. For all those senators who may have their contrary thoughts, just read the bill and deliberate it in the Senate, and let's take it from there. But the Filipinos cannot wait. We have to bring down the cost of electricity, the cost of power, the cost of oil. We have to bring in developmental projects, not just infrastructure, but we have to bring agricultural projects in. We have to make sure that there's food security. We cannot wait. President Marcos will not sit on his hands. He has no time to just waste time. I mean, he needs to lead the country, and that's why he was voted for by over 31 million people, and now he leads over 100. So we all have to work double time. It's not too late. In fact, huli na nga na tayo. I think the delegation that came to Davos actually impressed the Davos attendees. Substantial delegation actually demonstrated how the Philippines, the president, his official family, the economic managers, alongside the top the top businessmen and women in the Philippines, showing a united front to the entire world. It really impressed, and that was not lost in Davos. So people took notice of it and said that it's obvious that the Philippines is back. We are open for business. We are here listening, and we are inviting everyone to see why the Philippines would be the best destination to invest. And we've heard already from Morgan Stanley, the top investment bank, that is setting up an office in Manila this year. We have big funds, and I had a personal engagement as well with BlackRock. They're coming to the Philippines, I think, within the first quarter or the second quarter this year. And they are looking at investments as well, Sequoia, another fund. And these are just the traditional fund managers who are looking at the Philippines as possible investment sites, or where they want to increase their investments in general. Atlantic, Bill Ford. We have a number of companies. Ferrovial, one of the biggest infrastructure corporations or multinationals. So the list goes on, actually, and it's an amazing experience. And to have the Philippines in Davos is an event in itself, because it goes to show you that the Philippines, being the star of the ASEAN, especially in this Davos conference, will definitely show the world that not only are we open for business, that the country, the Philippines, under the leadership of President Marcos, leading the Filipinos, the best workers in the world, are here, and are not just recovering but will be thriving, and the investments of the world is welcome in the Philippines.
Sir, just to answer.
Well, for critics, it's very, very nice to hear, their questions and queries, but the executive and the legislature are working and walking and marching in lockstep. We are together. When the government works, it's not just the executive. We in the legislature are here to support it. And for instance, the Maharlika Fund, which we passed in the lower house, was a topic of discussion and interest. It is the vehicle that most countries, not just developed countries, but developing countries, utilize to attract investments for development, for infrastructure projects that mean a longer gestation of capital investments into these ventures, no? And this will guarantee solid returns, not just for the local investors, but of course for the international investors, from which we've already received substantial interest and concern in terms of what will be the final makeup. And as you know, Senator Martin Romualdez, who's also with me, is the championer, or he is the principal author in the Senate. So we demonstrate, at the WEF and to the world that the president is joined with his economic managers in the executive, alongside with the leaders from the legislature, and we are working and marching in lockstep with him, and we are listening to the concerns and to the sensitivities as to what is needed or what is looked for, what are the best practices, in the investment, in international investment environment, and what they're looking for, so that we can legislate properly, effectively, and with sensitivity, so that we bring the best in terms of returns for developmental projects in the Philippines, focusing on agriculture, power, transportation, among others.